part 2 of the interview with Sam Modiano, 12 July.
And the result was this, that, of course, those who were against Venizelos, against the Greeks, etc., raised a campaign saying that the Greeks want to devalorize the value of the bonds we have in our hands in order to acquire for very little money this property and to make all this Greek property. It was not true.
No, it was not true.
Because Nella's brother had half a block there.
Yes.
And on the other side, the commercial side. Look, but the point is this, is that they didn't want small houses. And of course, you see, opponents of Venizelos, the people of the populist party, the Chaldaris party, send in Salonika Jews from Volo, Trikala, etc., Shaki, etc., people who were already members of their own party, ancient Greece. Sabetai, all this.
Lydia's father.
Yes, all this were the greatest, the people doing the greatest propaganda against Venizelos, finding every opportunity to discreditate Venizelos, to the point that Venizelos one day, meeting the president of the community, Mr. Yes, Jacob Casas, the president of Venerable Jacob.
Very nice man.
Told him in French, Monsieur le Président, je regrette de le dire, tant que je serai là, vous me subirez. Mr. President, I regret to tell it, I have the greatest respect for you, but as long as I am here, you will have to tolerate me. I am the ruler of Greece.
He was the president.
This is how he acted, and as the others were reacting very strongly against him, at the point that the all elections, the ballot in northern Greece for the Greek parties was distorted by the Jewish vote, that Venizelos had to say, well, is it like this? From now on, you Jews are entitled to have 4 members proportionally from members in parliament. You are going to elect yourselves on your own tickets in separate sectors. And this is what Venizelos did, and this is what increased the hatred of the Jews against Venizelos.
Well, why did he do this?
Simply because he didn't want the majority of the Greeks of northern Greece to be distorted by the vote of 35,000 Jewish voters who were voting massively against him.
Well, if Venizelos was such a great friend of the Jews, why did the Jews vote en masse against
Simply
him?
because the Jews were under the strong propaganda. The Jews, first of all, were not able to read or to speak Greek. They were not able to attend a meeting at which Venizelos was addressing the mass rally. But they had all this, a tailor from Volo, a little greengrocer.
And my brother was...
You see, people were very after, long time after. You see, these people were paid by the opposition of Venizelos to make inflammatory speeches in Ladino, in the suburbs inhabited by the Jews, telling them, those Greeks of Venizelos are going to burn down your suburbs, they are going to do that and that. Mind you, I was still in Italian at that time. My friend Edwin Saltiel was the Japanese consul in Salonika. When, at the request of Venizelos, I went one night in one of the suburbs and I spoke in Ladino. I didn't usually to speak in such a language. I addressed them, and the people were crying when I told them, you are committing a crime against your children because they are going to leave this country, and the rulers are the Greeks, and the Greek majority is Venizelos.
Now, I've heard also that this organization, the Triple Epsilon, 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 was a creation of Venizelos, that he formed it and directed it.
What? Venizelos?
The Epsilon, Epsilon, Epsilon. I have heard that this was
It is not Venizelos. The Epsilon, Epsilon, Epsilon
Epsilon
were
is not
created
Venizelos.
by
The extreme right.
the Greeks
Extreme
who
right.
came from Asia Minor, the refugees expelled by the Turks, rather than
Fardis.
driven out
Was
from
the
the
chief.
by them.
Fardis.
And you know,
It's a newspaper.
and you know what Venizelos said at the Greek Senate to Mr. Gonatas, was the Governor General Gonatas. He told to General Gonatas how this happened. This suburb was burned down. You know, I thought they were more powerful than they were, etc., etc. You as a soldier could think of all this. I, as a ruler of Greece, as a European, I cannot accept such mishaps. You have disgraced Greece. This is in the verbatim of Parliament.
So Gonatas was an anti-Semite?
Gonatas was the governor of Salonika. He allowed this troubles to.
He was anti-Semite then. He was anti-Jewish.
He was not anti-Jewish, for God's sake.
He was not a friend.
Gonatas.
Gonatas was not anti-Jewish. He
Then
was-
why did he permit these things to
But
happen?
how he could restrain it? He was afraid that these people were extremely combative, would have turned against himself.
Now you told me that they threatened your newspaper when the Campbell Quarter was burned down, that they threatened your newspaper also.
Well, they attempted to come in town and to try, and I just rang up Gonatas. He said, don't be concerned, I'm sending troops around your office. Nobody's going to touch you. I had any protection I wanted. Next morning, I received a visit of, what was the name of the publisher of the Jerusalem Post, who was at the same time as a special correspondent of the London Times. I took him to Gonatas.
It was London Times.
No, it
This
was-
time was Frank. Frank
Non,
Modiano.
nous parlons de Salonique, ma chérie, et de Campbell. Comment tu parles de Frank?
Oh, j'ai cru qu'il était
Eh non, Frank était venu. Frank, tu connaissais Frank avant la guerre?
Non.
Eh non. He came from Israel and I took him to Gonatas. And Gonatas gave his explanations. They were printed, they are printed in the London Times. But,
What year was this? Tikronia.
eh?
What year was this?
This in 1917, I think.
No, the
C'est
Campbell.
No.
The
c'est
Campbell Quarter.
Modiano était déjà né.
Non, quand c'était là?
The Campbell Quarter.
Campbell, c'était en 23.
23.
Yes. 17, no, we were not married, but
23.
this time we do.
But any think I must tell you that the Jews of Salonika, under such a corrupted leadership, have done more harm to Jewry in combating the zealous than good to anybody else.
What corrupted leadership was this?
The corrupted leadership was Daniel Laluf, an employee of a Greek insurance man, who presented himself as a candidate as a member of parliament. Of course, in the anti-Venizelos list. The first thing he did is this, to come to Athens and to say San Modiano is an Italian, San Modiano is a traitor. You are subsidizing his newspaper, you must seize this, and you must give me the subsidies. I am going to create a newspaper in French to shut down the newspaper of San Modiano. Jews against Jews. You will tell me. It's better not to recall this, because this leadership was corrupted leadership. You cannot speak more of them because cowards as they were, all went out and were deported like cows, like by the Jerrys. Nobody reacted of this on this side. It was on the other side, Edwin Saltiel, San Modiano, who reacted and tried to protect those who were remaining there.
What about the Sunday closing laws and the transfer of market day to Saturday? Wasn't this a deliberate effort to destroy the base of the Jewish economy in Salonika?
Nobody spoke of this. This is not a story. Never a story came up. It was very natural. There was not a market in Salonika. Never had Salonika a public market day.
But in the other communities where there were Jews, like Veria, Naos, the smaller towns.
I don't know this, if they were Saturday or
There are
not.
details.
They are so tiny things, you see. Those who are just putting this in the story of the Greek Jewry are people with a distorted mind.
But wasn't this really an effort to strike at the economic base of the Jews? To
The
force them to
economic of the Jews has been automatically destroyed by their weakness. The big chaps, the big people, the bankers, those who were running the big enterprise of building the big the buildings of the port, the harbor, etc., had left the country. Alatini went, Modiano left, and those who remained were weak enough not to be able to resist to the Greeks who came from Asia Minor and were, of course, supported by the Greek state because they were Greeks, and it was very natural that the Greeks wanted, owing to the geographical position of Macedonia, and it was coveted by the Yugoslavs, by the Bulgarians, to put there Greeks from Asia Minor and give them every means to do, to work, to become rich and to stay. That is very natural.
What about the effort to try to make Salonika into an international city?
This is my uncle dream, Mario Modiano. Plan.
You knew that also?
Mario Modiano plan. Among the very many things, contributions to Salonika, Mario Modiano, an uncle of mine, made a plan to make of Salonika not what they did, in fact, a free zone for just transit of goods for Yugoslavia and to Yugoslavia and for Albania and Bulgaria. what Karamanlis is trying to revive now, making of the port of Salonika a Euro port, a European port. And my uncle went far away, far more than this. He said that Salonika should have been proclaimed like the towns of the Hanseatic organization in the Baltic. That means free towns. That means that no customs would exist in all Salonika. The people could have been able to manufacture, to bring, let's say, material from outside, to prepare goods and merchandise in Salonika, to send them in Bulgaria, in Yugoslavia, in Romania, in Albania, without having any duty to pay.
And it would be a Jewish-controlled city, a Jewish-ruled city. An autonomy.
Control? No, because there were no more Jews. Already at that time, the two-thirds of a third of the 70,000, 80,000 have left. They were in Paris, extremely wealthy, like Mr. Namias with Le Pétrole Français, like others associated with Rothschild, like people in the United States, what you can do.
So it wasn't to
The
be
Jews wanted to control Salonika.
it wasn't to be an independent Jewish state or Jewish city-state
In Salonika?
when they tried
Who
to make international.
never like, who as a dream. Mario Modiano created the Greek lottery, which is still giving millions of drachmas to the Greek state.
But
Has
it was
never
my
had any
understanding
end.
was that the effort to make Salonika an international city was to make it also a Jewish city-state.
Nothing to do.
No, it's a truth.
Absolutely nothing
It's
to
not
do.
true.
Because politically this had not, it does not exist.
We were a minority.
Already.
Absolutely. Does not exist. This is, I wanted to warn you against such distortions which...
There was a paper published on this
I don't
in
know.
an international journal.
It's not that.
I don't know, but those are distortions which are very, very dangerous. Salonika is Jewish. Yes, spiritually, yes, it was a Jewish town, next to Jerusalem. But politically, hey, you're kidding me.
Now, I've heard another story that there was an international Zionist leader who wanted to come to Salonika on this business, and that Venizelos sent a warning to him via the French that it would cost him his life if he came.
That is,
Who gave you this?
this is a
And
lie.
this is published.
Not a legend, but is more than a lie. It's a dangerous anti-Jewish lie. This is one of those stories put off by anti-Jewish people, anti-Semitic
Jews.
No, anti-Semitic people. They want just to spread among people they don't believe they are Jews, just in order to insert in a story like that you are going to write points which may be picked up tomorrow by themselves and be exploded, say, in such a book by Miss McKay. Nobody can think of you as a Jewish or not Jewish. Say that and that. And you must be very, very, very cautious against such things.
This is why I'm asking you, Sam, is because I read these things.
I am warning you, because if never in your book anything of the kind will appear, if I am alive, I am going to raise here. And I am going to make a campaign against the book and to say I want to know the source of such informations and to make a lawsuit against the people who gave
Sam,
it.
because you knew Venizelos and because you know more than anybody else in the world about the Greek Jews, this is why I'm bringing you these stories.
No, my dear, look,
to ask
I am not
your
alone
opinion.
to say, I am not alone to have known Venizelos as a Jew. There are lots of Jews who have known him very closely. And we know, and it's not only the Jews, it's also international people. Venizelos was an international figure. You know what Giolitti told me at the Versailles conference? It's a pity, Modiano. It's a pity. We should have a Venizelos, and Italy would be the frontier, the borders up to the Danube. Giolitti told.
Was there ever any correspondence between Mussolini and Venizelos? They were contemporaries. They were both
No.
great nationalists.
Venizelos had died at least 10 years before Mussolini appeared on the scene.
No,
Venizelos,
Venizelos died in 1936, I believe.
well, at that time,
And
I
Mussolini
knew
was on the scene.
Mussolini as the editor, the publisher of the Avanti, as a socialist
You knew-
newsman.
You knew Mussolini?
Never.
No, did you know Mussolini?
Yes, personally.
Have you read Nikos Kazantzaki's book, Journeyings?
Who?
Nikos Kazantzaki's.
Yes.
He went to meet Mussolini, and in his book, Journeyings, he compares Venizelos to Mussolini.
Well, I don't know, but Kazantzakis was a very funny man.
But he said
I
that
make him a minister with Sofulis. And the day after he went to a rally in which he spoke against his prime minister. And the Sofulis called me and said, "What do I have to do with this man?" And I said, "I don't know." Well, he suppressed his desk at the foreign ministry. He was a minister without portfolio. And Kazantzakis came to say, "Son, I went to the ministry, I couldn't find my desk." You know, Kazantzakis was a close friend of Rekanat, of Abraham, the socialist, maybe.
Benaroya?
Very.
Really?
Yeah.
So you knew Kazantzakis too?
Huh?
You knew Kazantzakis as well? You knew Kazantzakis?
It's
Yeah.
Benaroya. It is
Will you
Benaroya.
have something to drink?
All right, that'd be very nice.
Ils
I've
sont
been
pas
cold.
venus, Yorio, hein?
Qu'est-ce que c'est
Alexis.
dans le soir. Quelle
Non,
heure
non.
dit-on? Ah
Alex-
oui, il serait venu aujourd'hui.
Oui, ce matin.
Bien, mais c'est tout.
Avec le ministre Kellery.
Mais c'est très tôt, il est 11h.
Et à 11h, c'est déjà.
À 11h.
Il a dit à 11h.
Yeah, I'm going to
And
very
orange
soon.
juice.
Be very nice, and then I'll go.
You see, beware, because to make a comparison, say that, for God's sake, this is only ignorant people who can speak. Avraham Ben Aroya took me immediately after the war at the house where Kazantzakis, terribly ill, was lying in bed with his first wife there now. I know that very many people have tried, you see, such lies. Very many people have
You
tried
manifest it.
to sell them to me. And when I told, look, you try to sell them to other people, because I have lived through this. For 65 years, I am on the spot. Very near Venizelos, very close to Sofulis. Field Marshal Papagos asked me to come back from London when he decided to enter politics. I was the first to whom he confided. He gave his statement.
Will more sugar?
No, that's fine. This is aspirin.
Ah, you have headache?
My back aches. Carrying this heavy bag.
I could give you an aspirin.
It's okay, I have some. Well, Sam, What about Venizelos' nationalism? And I've also read that he was a, quote, I'm going to quote one of his biographers, a self-styled Christian crusader against the Turkish infidel. And that he had this almost mystical belief that bordered on a pagan superstition.
I will tell you something. You tell this today, after last World War II. It sounds like nonsense. But at the time which Venizelos said, for his own propaganda purpose, when Greece had apparently about the largest part of the real Greek population settled down in Asia Minor under Turkish yoke, trying to liberate this, and the dream of the Greeks being Megali Elas, great Greece, and the greatest dream of all the Greek kings was to enter Constantinople and to plant the Greek flag over Saint Sophia. That is of such things which enter in the domain of legend or dreams of peoples. But you cannot take a quote like this to make a comment, political comment in 1977.
In the Megali Idea, was there room for minorities such as Jews?
There was no question at all, because the Megali Idea was an idea so vague that even the Greeks did not dare to write anything that to dream on it. The rebuilding of the Byzantine Empire.
Sam, I have a question about Napoleon Zervas, this guerrilla leader during the war, the Andarte. I heard in Metzavon from an old Vlach that Zervas took the opportunity of the war to massacre large numbers of minorities in the Epirus, Gypsies, Serbs, Croats, Albanians, and so forth. Do you know anything about this?
Do I
C'était pas Plébert, l'ingénieur Plébert?
Qui?
L'ingénieur de Rachel.
Hébrard.
Plébert.
Hébrard.
Plébert. Plébert.
Plébert, oui. Hébrard, c'était
Hébrard.
celui qui est venu
Oui,
de
c'est-
Paris. You say, can you repeat it?
Yes, I have heard from an old Vlach in Metzavon that Zervas
Metzovo.
that Zervas, Napoleon Zervas, took the opportunity of the war to massacre large numbers of minorities living in Epirus, Gypsies, Albanians, Serbs, Croats, and so forth.
Yes.
That he took the opportunity to massacre them under the pretense of carrying out guerrilla operations to cleanse the Epirus of
I
minorities.
don't know, because I was not there. I have never trusted Zervas as a guerrilla chief, because Zervas was here, the man running during the war, during the Italian occupation, most of the gambling places, and under the claim that like this he was able to give to Italian intelligence information about the people who were betraying them because they had money, they came there, etc. And the British were pressing him to go up hills to organize his own national guerrilla corps, the EDES, and he was resisting until the day in which he was warned by the British that if he did not leave within a month's time, no more money was going to be given to him. And while the people of Elas, Eam, were damn poor, were living on themselves,
Very bad condition.
the people of Edes, and Mr. Zervas at the head, Mr. Zervas DSO, what I laughed with Chris when the award was given, Chris was the British head of the echelon, British echelon with the guerrillas. Service was giving to each one of the men he has with him 5 gold sovereigns monthly.
To do what?
Eh?
To do what?
To do what? Allegedly to fight against the Germans. In matter of fact, they did not.
Les? Oui, mon chéri.
They were fighting against the LACA.
Pourquoi? Le téléphone est mal, il va nous répondre. C'est Mario qui a besoin de...
Yes.
Okay, Sam, I think I'd better go and leave you